Hi, I'm Steve Jones and I'm going to tell you a little about getting nuclear energy into electricity. Now, obviously here we have a fairly complex diagram, but actually it's simpler than it looks. First of all, here's the nuclear reactor and the heat exchanger. In fact, these parts are the only parts that are common to the nuclear power station. All of the rest you'll find in any power station, that is a steam turbine and a generator. This is the part that actually creates the electricity. But this part is different. This is like a giant electric kettle. All it does is it produces heat. The reactor itself contains fuel rods, and when those fuel rods are placed into a thing called a moderator, it gets hot. It gets very, very hot. And this reactor, the heat in the reactor, is then taken by these tubes out into the heat exchanger, where it mixes with a number of pipes coming through the steam turbine system. So the heat in here produces heat in here, and you get hot steam. That steam then drives the steam turbine. So remember, the nuclear reactor is nothing but a thing to produce heat. Just the same as, for example, with a conventional power station, you would use coal, you'd burn coal or oil or gas. Well, here we're just burning nuclear fuel. The big advantage is the amount of fuel that you might use in 1 year. Whereas every year in a nuclear power station, you may use up to 100 tons of fuel per year. In a coal-fired station, you would use something like 2,000 tons per week. This is significant because it means that although nuclear energy is dangerous and there are problems with the safety, because there are only such a small amount of fuel required, we don't need big roads to the power plant, and therefore it can be built in the middle of an uninhabited area, in the middle of somewhere where basically it's a long distance from people. So that is the big advantage of the nuclear reactor. So that is how we get nuclear energy and turn it into electricity.